Good morning from Plant Reviews, today 21st of May, and now I will talk about one of my favorite jasmines, Jasminum polyanthum, the Chinese jasmine, also called Pink Jasmine or white jasmine. Pink because the bud are like reddish pink and then they open in white. This jasmine was first described in 1891 by Adrien René Franchet in the review Horticulturelle, and it is a species of jasmine that is distributed in the wild in China and Myanmar. It is Jasminum, the name Jasminum, jasmine, comes from the Persian Yasamin, that means a gift from God. And jasmines are a genus of vines, is a genus of vines and shrubs in the family Liliaceae, together with the olive tree, that is native to Europe, Asia, and Oceania, and they are either evergreen or deciduous. The specific name polyanthum in Latin means by the many flowers, and as you can see, this plant really produces an abundance of flower. This year in particular decided to bloom incredibly well. This is considered half hardy in the UK, and I would say that if you are able to establish the plant in spring and the plant grow quite a good size before winter, you have good chances that the plant can survive quite cold winters, as there is no prolonged freezing. Because I have 3 jasmine plants on my fence, and they were sold on a clearance. I purchased them on a clearance shelf. They were, after blooming, they were just about, I think, 70p at home base. So 70p each pot. And I planted them in March, 3 years ago. Luckily, March 3 years ago, the weather was not that cold, so they were able actually to grow very well until the following winter. The following winter happened that we had 1 week of a very cold weather, the famous beast from the east, with temperature reaching -7, -8 for about 1 week. The plants, my plants of jasmine completely, the branches completely died, and that was I was thinking, but it was just above the ground. Underground, the root system and the stems survived. So after we had the beast from the east in March, early March, and by mid-April I realized that the jasmines were actually sprouting again from the ground, and they grew up basically now about 3-4 meters in width and height. Well, you can't really tell the height now because it's basically climbing on each other and the branches are twisting on each other. However, you can see how big are the plants. And this is a this is a climbing plant that can grow actually very, very big. Therefore, I would probably safely say that if you live in coastal areas, especially in the south or in Wales, this jasmine is absolutely hardy, unless obviously you have a prolonged winter. However, considering how harsh was the winter 3 years ago and the fact that this jasmine survives, I would say that if you have enough time planting the plant in spring in order for them to reach a reasonable size before the first winter, even in case of freezing of a few days, the plant would survive. So I would consider this plant hardy in the most of the UK. Obviously not at high altitudes or where prolonged freezing is, but I would say that considering it's a plant also quite cheap to buy, planting in the ground in spring, you give the best chances to survive and grow as this beautiful perennial plant it is. The jasmine have compound leaves, dark green, as you can see, and each leaf is compounded by leaflets, as you can see. It is a very ornamental foliage. Yeah, I love this plant already for the foliage. It's a very dark green, very ornamental, but obviously the main asset of the plant are the beautiful flowers. The flowers are the flowers are produced in abundance, usually between late winter and spring. My plants try to bloom for the first 2 years in early spring, but both years, even if they were covered in many buds, due to the fact that we had some frost, they aborted all the buds. Luckily this year the temperature were sunnier and warmer, so the buds didn't abort, and now we have this beautiful blooming. The flowers, as I said, the flower buds are pinkish or reddish. Indeed, that's the name, comes from the common name, the pink jasmine. However, they open up in white. The flowers are about 1 centimeter in diameter, as you can see, and they are tubular, about 2 centimeters long. They are born in clusters, and as you can see, in an abundance of clusters. The plant has so many flowers that even behind the front branches it has other flowers, and most importantly, in addition to the abundance of flowers, is that the fragrance is something absolutely amazing. I can smell this plant 3-4 meters far from the plant, and it is a very sweet fragrance. Different jasmines have different fragrances. My favorite in particular is Jasminum azoricum, that has a kind of citrus fragrance. However, I like very much the polyanthum as well, because the fragrance is very different, but it's still very pleasant. Really is a very sweet scent, not like a sickly sweet as a tuberose, or I really can't stand the tuberose scent. However, is like a sweet scent, a bit vanilla-like, so it is very pleasant if you like if you like soft fragrance, sweet fragrances and soft fragrances. However, beware that the fragrance is quite powerful in this plant. So if you are not really a fan of fragrances, definitely I wouldn't recommend this plant to be planted in your garden. But if you, like me, love fragrances, this is one of the best plants you can grow in your garden for fragrance. The Jasminum polyanthum as a plant ideally should be planted in full sun and in well-drained soil. It can handle also partial shade. However, considering that comes from quite warm areas, really, if you want to cultivate this plant in the garden, I would suggest give this plant the best chances to survive in your garden. So plant it in full sun, well-drained soil, because really this plant warrants the best position to survive. I am sorry that today the sun is not shining. However, it's supposed to be a little bit rainy later on, and I decided to should make this video today because I was wondering if after the rain the blooms will still be as beautiful as they are now, or will be damaged a bit. So I decided to do it today. The plant was given the Royal Horticultural Society Award of Garden Merit in 1993. As a climber, this plant needs support of a trellis or fences. Indeed, I'm growing this plant to hide my fence together with some clematis, and does the job very well indeed. Remember anyway that this plant can grow very quickly and very fast, so you have to be careful in pruning the plant. I would suggest after flowering, and that's what I will do this year, because as you can see the plant is growing a little bit too vigorously, and is going above the fence, and I'm pretty sure that we start invading everything else. Talking about invading, this plant is actually considered a pest in some countries, including Australia and New Zealand, where indeed they are trying to eradicate this species. Because where the jasmine grows, this jasmine grows, is very difficult for anything else to grow, because you can, in warm climate, it actually can grow even in shade, and it acts as a ground cover, basically blocking the lights for any other plant. This plant can be propagated by cuttings, but also by seeds. I will see if I get any seeds this year. Would be fun. Anyway, that's a very easy plant to grow, and again, it's available both online and in many garden centers. Is usually used as a conservatory plant or indoor plant, but considering how big this plant becomes, I would suggest either for a conservatory or, anyway, as I said, in the garden. Give it a go with some cuttings in the garden if you are not too sure. So you'll enjoy for sure the fragrance in the conservatory or in the house. But if you put some cuttings and in a pot, and they put some roots, try to grow it outside, because really is one of the most fragrant plants you can get in the garden. If you like a fragrant garden, I cannot recommend this jasmine enough, because the fragrance is absolutely incredible. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like my videos, it would be great if you can please subscribe. If you don't like them, I would be great if you can leave some comments below, and also positive comments are also very well accepted, and I will see you next time. Bye.